The U.S. aviation market is dominated by four major airlines: American, Southwest, Delta, and United, who in total comprise 74% of the country's airline capacity. But today we're flying the nation's fifth largest airline, which even after acquiring Hawaiian Airlines, remains far behind fourth place United in terms of capacity, with a gap of almost 75 million seats according to OAG data. Now, there are a multitude of factors behind why the big four airlines are as big as they are, and that's beyond the scope of this video. Regardless, Alaska Airlines has an exciting future ahead with massive growth plans over the coming years, and we'll discuss those today as I fly the carrier for the first time in over 16 years from Seattle to Indianapolis on the 737 MAX 9. I arrived in Seattle on board a Hawaiian Airlines A330 from Miami, a video I highly suggest you check out if you haven't already. Following Alaska's takeover of Hawaiian, the two airlines have started selling joint tickets, making itineraries like mine, Kona to Indianapolis, possible, providing another option to the legacy airlines and Southwest. I was booked for a 2-hour connection in Seattle, which was sufficient time, but the connection process itself was rather hectic. Now, if you're connecting through Seattle on Delta, I imagine your connections would be straightforward, given Delta uses the S, A, and B gates, which are all next to each other. Alaska, however, mainly uses the C, D, and N gates, but all international arrivals and all Hawaiian wide-body flights go into S. To provide some context, the S gates are the main overseas gates in Seattle. They handle all international arrivals and also are the only part of the airport where wide-body aircraft park, with some exceptions for Delta at the A gates. Because of this, all Hawaiian A330 and 787 flights for Alaska park and depart from here, while the A321neos, being narrow-body aircraft, depart from the D gates. So regardless if you're flying from the islands or a different country, if you're on a Hawaiian A330 or 787, you're going into the S gates, and the only reason I'm emphasizing this is the following. Make sure you have enough time to get from the S gates and clear immigration if you have to, and then make your way over to C, D, and N because these connections aren't as straightforward. SeaTac Airport has a fragmented people mover system. The blue line connects S, A, and B, so that's pretty easy if you're connecting on Delta. However, if you want to get between S and the Alaska side of the airport, you have to take the blue line to A and then connect onto the yellow line to D. If you're flying out of the C or N gates, you then have to connect onto the green line. I was connecting from S to N, and that entire journey took around 20 to 25 minutes from gate to gate, so if you're booked on a joint Alaska-Hawaiian ticket connecting in Seattle, and you are flying one of the Hawaiian wide-bodies, definitely take all of this into consideration. SeaTac Airport underwent a massive renovation project a few years ago, and the N concourse specifically was renovated in 2021. Needless to say, I was really impressed. Our flight to Indianapolis this evening would be my first time ever on the 737 MAX 9, an aircraft that not too long ago was under lots of scrutiny, especially at Alaska Airlines, following the events of Alaska Flight 1282. Regardless, these aircraft have since been thoroughly inspected, making them safer than ever to fly. Not only that, but today Alaska continues to work closely with Boeing to audit the assembly processes of new 737 MAX aircraft. Given tonight's flight was nearly full, passengers had the option to gate check roller bags, and given I wanted to relax a bit for this last flight and not worry about overhead bin space, I gladly checked mine in. A perk of gate checking is that it somehow grants you earlier boarding, so even though I was originally in Group D, I was able to board with Group C. Alaska's 737 MAX 9 seats 178 passengers with 16 first-class seats and 162 in main cabin. Now, excuse the heavy mood lighting, but the seats are decently comfortable with adjustable headrests and nice padding. The seat back features a personal device holder clip on top, along with a literature pocket, USB-A port, tray table, universal outlet, seat pocket, and decent legroom. Now, Alaska has always touted itself as the proudly all-Boeing airline, which is true if you only consider its mainline fleet. However, the acquisition of Hawaiian has left many wondering what will become of Hawaiian's Airbus aircraft, especially considering Alaska discarded all of Virgin America's aircraft within a few years of that merger. Still, Alaska has maintained that Hawaiian will remain a distinct brand, and all of the Hawaiian aircraft will remain with the airline as of now, except for Hawaiian's 4 787s that will all be transferred to Alaska.
Bring the waist strap to the front and buckle. Tighten pulling down sharply on the red tab. You can also manually inflate the vest by blowing into the tube. The light will activate in water.
It was a relaxing and smooth flight, with most passengers obviously choosing to sleep. That said, the only service was a quick refreshment run, and I took a ginger ale and some pretzels. But apparently you can pre-order proper meals even in main cabin, and I'm impressed. I'd say this is an even greater selection than what you see on United, for example. Unfortunately, I did not pre-order one of these in time, which would have been nice if I did, given I didn't get the chance to grab dinner in Seattle. Alaska has onboard Wi-Fi, though not Starlink just yet, but regardless, the Wi-Fi website is one of the best I've ever seen from any US airline, and it even features a little in-flight map. From this page, you're also able to access free streaming entertainment, and there's a really great selection on offer. Now let's talk a little bit more about what the future holds for Alaska following its acquisition of Hawaiian. It's fully because of the Hawaiian merger that Alaska has been able to enter the long-haul market for the first time. Earlier in 2025, Hawaiian began flying A330s from Seattle to Tokyo Narita and Seoul Incheon in partnership with Alaska. The Seoul route has since been upgraded to Hawaiian 7879, with Tokyo following in January 2026. Eventually, Alaska will take all of Hawaiian's 787s, as I mentioned earlier, and base them all in Seattle, while Hawaiian's A330s will remain based in Hawaii. Alaska itself has 17 Dreamliners of its own on order, 12 787-9s and 5 787-10s, which will support its ambitions to operate at least 12 long-haul routes by 2030, thereby making Alaska an even fiercer competitor against Delta, its main rival in Seattle. Alaska plans to receive its first Dreamliner in spring 2026 and has already announced brand new seasonal service between Seattle and Rome, launching on April 28th. The carrier has also announced Seattle-London service starting in 2026 as well, though no official launch date has been given. Alaska is also launching new seasonal service between Seattle and Reykjavik, Iceland on May 28, 2026, using 737 MAX 8s. Now, I think this is really exciting stuff, and it's going to be interesting seeing the kind of service Alaska offers on these long-haul flights, especially considering the airline has technically been in the long-haul game only for a number of months. While it is sad that we won't be seeing the Hawaiian 787s for much longer, as they'll be repainted into the unique Alaska 787 livery, at least we still have the rest of Hawaiian's fleet, and on that note, the A330s themselves will also be entering a retrofit program, receiving new all-aisle access business class seats, new premium economy seats, and refreshed economy seats as well. After a pleasant flight across the country, it was soon time for descent into Indianapolis. Our approach brought us in from the west before turning base and coming in past the downtown area for landing on runway 23 left. My journey back from Kona to Indy took me on 3 flights across Hawaiian and Alaska, and I thoroughly enjoyed all of them. It was an awesome feeling getting to experience something different to my usual Delta or United, who I normally consider when flying to and from the islands. Now, personally, when I look for flights back to Hawaii, I try to always book flights where most of the journey is on wide-body aircraft. It is a long journey from here in the Midwest back to the islands, and I personally much prefer being on wide-body aircraft like the A330 or 777. That said, unless I can find more joint tickets with Alaska and Hawaiian in the future, I'll still more likely choose Delta or United for travel back to the islands because I'm almost guaranteed a wide-body on those longer flights. Regardless, Alaska is a fantastic airline, and I hope to be back on board soon. Alaska will certainly be my first choice for traveling to the Pacific Northwest, and especially the last frontier itself, which I would love to visit someday. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's early in the morning, and I've still got a roughly 2-hour drive back home, but I'm happy to be back in the Midwest. I hope you've enjoyed watching all of the videos from this trip back to Hawaii, and if you haven't seen the other episodes, I encourage you to check out my channel and give those videos a look. While this trip may be over, there's a lot of more content on the way, so stay tuned. But until I see you next time, take care and have a good one.